House of Representatives calls for action as killings persist in Anambra State. House demands briefing on Nigeria's continental shelf status. And National Assembly commends timely presentation of 2022 appropriation bill. Hello and thanks for joining us on You and Your Reps. I am Victor Azu. Welcome to the program. Now let's begin by letting you know that the House of Representatives has adopted a resolution urging authorities to take urgent and drastic measures to combat elements terrorizing people in Anambra State. The House says deployment of security to contain the menace will prevent it from snowballing into a crisis in the entire Southeast. National Assembly correspondent Lamia Ali reports.
The issue was raised by Representative Chris Azubogu, who escaped death by the whiskers last week Thursday, but one of his drivers was not as lucky, as he was shot dead following an attack on their convoy along Nnewi-Nobi Road. The House noted recent killing of Dr. Chike Akunyili, husband of late Dora Akunyili, and 8 others in the suburb of Onitsha, including the attack on the DSS and FRSC offices in Nnewi last Sunday, 3rd October 2021.
These killings are probably orchestrated by mischief makers who are bent on causing tension and panic in the state ahead of the upcoming November 6th governorship election in Anambra State.
I used to hear of these things in other parts of the country where they say they couldn't go home. Now it's happening to us where we can hardly even go back home. We'll go to other parts but come back to Abuja.
In another development, Representative Roland Igbakpa, coming on the matter of privilege, has called on the federal government to make public name of the National Assembly member said to be involved in sponsoring terrorism.
The leadership of the House should liaise with their counterpart in the Senate to try and see Mr. President so that he can tell you, one, the person that is sponsoring terrorism among the 469 members. Then 2, it should go ahead because it has the powers of prosecution to prosecute that person, convict that person, and shame the person.
At the commencement of plenary, House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila read a presidential communication requesting consideration and approval of the revised medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper 2022 to 2024.
The revision was necessitated by the need to reflect the new fiscal terms in the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, as well as other critical expenditures in the 2022 budget.
3 bills passed second reading. A bill to make provisions for right to food, sponsored by House Chief Whip Mohammed Tahir Mungunu. A bill to establish Food Vendors Data Agency from Yunus Abubakar, and a bill seeking to amend Federal University Ikwo, sponsored by Chinedu Oga.
It is inherently contradictory for the Constitution to guarantee the right to life. On the other hand, woefully fail to provide the right to food.
A database helping or augmenting what the National Bureau for National Statistics has.
To make the provision for change of name of Federal University Ndufali-Ikwo to Alese Kweme Federal University.
10 bills passed first reading, including a bill to amend the National Broadcasting Commission Act.
Expanding Nigeria's marine area beyond 200 nautical miles will grant the country exploitation and exploration rights, the immediate benefit of which is improved revenue generation. The House of Representatives had commended President Muhammadu Buhari for setting up a committee to actualize this project. And now members are wondering what has become of the project.
The Attorney General of the Federation heads the high-powered committee. The House adopted prayers of the motion from Lego Idabo, requesting the minister to brief the House on the status of the proposal submitted to the United Nations Commission on the Limits of the Continental Shelf, which was done in line with the United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea. The motion from Henry Nwauba calling for investigation into the award of contracts by the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation for the refurbishment of refineries was adopted.
NNPC allegedly awarded the contract of the refurbishment of Warri and Kaduna refineries to Saipem and Technimont, respectively, without the submission of their local content plan for the contract execution.
Other motions adopted include the need for an upward review of remuneration for judicial officers, as raised by Onofio Luke, and the motion from Taiwo Luga calling for the establishment of fire stations on highways.
Ghastly accident which led to fire explosion occur. There is often no quick response from the firefighting or road safety agency, as mostly do not have firefighting equipment.
The security situation in Sokoto State was again brought to the attention of House members by Sarki Adar.
Due to military operations taking place in Zamfara and Katsina states, most of the bandits that are being attacked there are now migrating to Sokoto State.
14 bills passed first reading, while 5 passed second reading. Among them a bill to amend Motor Vehicle Insurance Act, sponsored by Charles Goodyock. The revised medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper 2022 to 2024 has been considered and approved.
The National Assembly promises to ensure the passage of the 2022 appropriation bill before the end of the year. This, it says, is to sustain the January to December budget cycle. The leadership commends the President for presenting the proposal in good time.
The 2021 budget was laid on the 8th of October. That of 2022 came a day earlier. This trajectory enables full implementation of budgets like that of 2022, which since the Fourth Republic made history as the first to be fully implemented, bringing about economic growth despite recession to the benefit of citizens.
Unlike many other countries, Nigeria was able to come out of the recession due to the ability of this administration to deploy the resources to support the economy. Mr. President, the second quarter GDP report released by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, Nigeria's gross domestic product GDP increased by 5.01% in the second quarter of 2021. The strongest growth since first quarter of 2014 is a trajectory that we need to sustain.
Ensuring greater fidelity to the letter and spirit of our appropriation laws have led to the measurable improvements in public infrastructure, access to education and housing, healthcare, and transportation, among other things.
The National Assembly leadership called attention on the need to put more efforts on key areas for improvements.
The 2021 budget and indeed the 2020 budget provided for significant infrastructure development across the country. It is imperative that we prioritize the completion of ongoing projects on the development of infrastructure in our country. The 2022 budget should target at completion and consolidation of the projects already started.
Today, innovations in technology, the changing nature of global trade, the challenges of cross-border insecurity, and the increasing interdependence of nations, each and together, continue to present challenges we must overcome and opportunities we must embrace.
Ministries, departments, and agencies of government were also issued words of warning to sustain achievements so far recorded.
Recent position taken by the legislature and the executive arms of government to insist on zero allocation to MDS that failed to remit their revenues for the 2022 appropriation. This saw an increase in the contribution of MDS by over 400 billion. It is my view that MDS can contribute to the Federation account much more than that.
We will demand a thorough accounting for the funds previously appropriated, disbursed, and expended. And we will take steps to hold to account those who fail to provide the records we need to make informed decisions on the appropriation bill.
The National Assembly will in the coming weeks be engaged in the scrutiny of the proposal to ensure the delivery of a near-perfect document.
When you hear the term clerk, what comes to mind immediately may just be that person employed in an office or bank to keep records, accounts, and undertake other routine administrative duties. However, for the legislature, it holds a slightly different meaning. What is it for the House of Representatives? Let's find out.
The clerk is the person who is in charge of the secretariat of either a committee. In the case of the House, we have every committee of the House has its own clerk. The man or the lady who is in charge of secretariat, he or she takes minutes when the committee is meeting. He or she brings drafts of all resolutions and then for adoption by the committee. Okay. So he or she is in charge of the secretariat of the committee. Now, as House in plenary, we also have clerk of the House, the man who is the head of the secretariat, who takes minutes. He is in charge of all the staff of that are in charge of verbatim reporting, those who take records of all the proceedings. After that, he sits down, he produces the minutes of the sitting. We call it votes. He's in charge of the votes and proceedings of the House in plenary. He's also the one who polish all the bills before they are presented for first reading, second reading in the House. So he is essentially the man in charge of the secretariat of the House.
Upon inauguration, it became clear that one of the priorities of the 9th House of Representatives is constitution review. Less than 2 years to go, how far has it gone with the process? We engaged Chief Whip of the House, Mohammed Tahir Monguno. Let's hear him.
Both the Senate and the House have passed the bill. There are differences with the House version, the version that was passed by the Senate. So a harmonization committee will be set up with a view to harmonizing the two versions of the law for possible adoption and then assent by Mr. President. So I think one of the major reasons is the issue of direct or indirect primaries. I think the Senate passed indirect primaries while the House passed direct primaries. So there is a need to harmonize that. But personally, I'm of the opinion that direct primaries to all the political parties is much more better, because direct primaries has the potential of bringing out the replica of the wishes and aspirations of the people at the party members at the grassroots level, because it is going to be a participation en masse of all the membership of the party. So whoever emerges through such a process will be a representation of the wishes and aspirations of the membership of the party at the grassroots level, and is also going to endanger mass participation in the affairs of our political parties, and it is going to bring about a grassroots-oriented political parties rather than parties that operate from top down. So it is going to be down off. So I am fully in support of direct primaries in order to insulate it from godfatherism of people hijacking delegates and then influencing delegates to dance according to their whims and caprices, and which in the long run will not be a true reflection of the wishes and aspirations of the people at the grassroots. But direct primaries has the potential of bringing about a contestation that will be a true reflection of the wishes and aspirations of the people at the grassroots level.
During the week in focus, the House of Representatives called for action on the recent killings in Anambra State. So, we engaged some random people in the state to get a sense of the situation. Here's what we got.
A lot of big men who are supposed to be here are not here. Reason, they are afraid. We have a lot of security challenges in the week past. So we can't rate security situation in Anambra State a good one.
The security situation is terrifying. As you can see, nobody, most of the indigenes that are based outside are afraid to come in because of they don't know where they will be hit by stray bullet or what is happening. Actually, nobody knows what is happening. And I think everything boils down on the government.
Not just the federal government, but the state government can do a lot to curb this insecurity. There's just a state of anarchy now, and nobody is happy about what is happening.
I want the federal government to really look at the remote cause of this issue that is happening in Anambra. It's not just ordinary. Anambra used to be a peaceful and a very quiet state. Everybody will run to Anambra. But with the events that is happening now, I think the federal government should look inward and look at the remote causes and immediate causes and the solution to this problem.
This week on You and Your Reps, the committee segment takes on the Committee on Commerce. We engaged Deputy Chairman of the committee, Richard Gbande. He represents the Katsina Ala, Ukum, and Logo Federal Constituency of Benue State.
To have constitutional provision to oversight the agencies and ministries that will house commerce. The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade is the mother ministry. We have agencies under it like NEBSA. We have Oil and Gas, Free Trade Zone. We have Export Promotion Council. We have Nigerian Investment. We have Office of Trade Negotiations. We have Trade Conference Complex, Trade Fair Complex in Lagos, among other agencies. And we have been moving around to see things for ourselves, the level of implementation of the budget, and we have been putting our input. While we discover that there are some serious issues, we put in our best. And there's this understanding among some agencies of government that on seeing members of parliament, at first instance, they thought or view us as intruders. But we have been doing our best to explain and make them understand that we are partners in progress and we have constitutional duty to make sure that they comply and there's value for money. And this we have been doing it and we shall continue to do. Our engagement with the Export Promotion Council, down our base, we x-ray the activities of the agency, and at the end of the day, we come to terms that it is an organization that is saddled with the responsibility of promoting exports. As long as we don't have balance of payment, we shall continue to be at the receiving end. There will be deficit, and once there is deficit, whether we like it or not, our level of borrowing will be at a geometrical rate, and that is exactly what is happening in our country. If we borrow and build critical infrastructures that they will be returned on our own assets, it will be good for our country. But with the level of borrowing we are going, the level of imbalance in trade deficit, it calls for overhauling of the system. We have to get it right at the level of balance of trade. Is our imports equal our export? Are we exporting our products? Then there's a problem. We are taken aback that in our country, despite the fact that there are good initiation of policies and programs for our country, there's even money for ECG so that we will encourage our people to be exporting. But there's still more to it. Another disturbing scenario is that some crop items like yams, sorghum, soybean, and even cassava, they were placed on ban list. We thank God that as a member of the committee, we have raised a bill, one of our colleagues raised a bill, and it was referred to our own committee, comments. We have conducted the public hearing, we have even written the report that these items, these major crops, should be unbanned so that Nigerians, farmers will be placed in a better position to export all these things. Once that is done, believe you me, from the angle of farmers, there will be export of yams and all these crops, which will even enhance and ease the balance of trade. Once that is done, it will be good and Nigerians will be good to go. But without all these things, it will be a mirage. All hands must be on deck to make sure that we add value to what we have in this country. Because only primary production will not help us. We have to add value on the chains. Once we do the chain very well, we add value and we're exporting directly from our own country to other countries and we have market for it. There will be balance of treatment, we will attract foreign exchange and our country will be good to go. If not, we will only be called giant of Africa in name. If we move to our next small country like Ghana here, you discover that they are exporting at geometrical rate at our own disadvantage. So let all hands must be on deck to survey the system. The people who are saddled with the responsibility of doing their own bit should continue to do their own bit. And there should be incentives or extra incentives to encourage farmers, encourage traders, so that at the end of the day, we build our own productive capacity, add value to what we're doing, so that our export could be boosted and then there will be corresponding foreign exchange and value for our products. From the inception of the 9th Assembly, we agreed that we will fast track and give the Nigerians what they want. We are going to do our best, look at the appropriation bill and see to it that we give it the accelerated hearing at the Senate or the President of the Senate and the Speaker of House of Reps said within a few months we will do justice to it, look at it, and then pass it so that the President will extend it to law as usual so that there will be no lacuna in the administration of the country. Believe you me, before January, or we even pass it in December as we did the last time, so that the President will even extend it first or second day of January, so that it will become a working document for our own country. And so that at the end of the day, they will deploy the resources and channel it to critical sectors that will even boost our economy and reduce the level of poverty in our land.
Now here's wishing the House Committee on Commerce the very best in its assignment. And that's you and your reps for the week. Thanks for your time. I'm Victor Azu. See you next time.